Fungal infections. This is the first thing that I am going to talk about because it comes up so frequently in my practice. Okay, and these are infections usually of the toenail or sometimes the fingernails, but they're not just fungal infections. They're actually an infection of a fungus that grows in the dark and grows in moisture. So it likes moist, dark places like our feet. But what does a fungus have to do with your emotions? Well, the fungus has a symbolic meaning. It's there to teach us something. So let's take a look at some common emotional conflicts that show up as a fungal infection. The first one that I'm going to talk about is conflicts related to death, mourning, or loss. So I had this woman come in. She was in her early 30s. She was extremely close to her mother. She became estranged from her after she got married because her mother-in-law didn't like her. And so she stopped seeing her mother and then developed foot fungus. Now she had seen a podiatrist. He gave her some creams, some oral medication, which she took for a period of time. It didn't get rid of it. And then he told her, hey, go see a doctor who's going to do some biofeedback with you. So she came to me and she said, I want to be free of the pain inside me. That's how she described it. So we did a session of biofeedback and it went away. And within a month, she started seeing her mother again. Within 2 months, she developed another fungal infection. We did some more biofeedback. Her mother called her and asked her why she wasn't coming to visit. She started seeing her mother on a regular basis, and the fungus never came back. You see, this woman had such a strong connection to her mom that when she stopped connecting with her mom, she lost a part of herself, and that whole manifested as pain in her foot as a fungal infection. Fungus hates light. It doesn't like oxygen. It grows in the dark. It grows in moisture. It thrives in environments where there's no light, no oxygen in dark, moist places. What's a dark, moist place? Our feet are dark and moist when we sweat. When we're nervous, we sweat. What's the no? One emotion that creates a lot of sweating. Fear. That's right. Fear is the emotion that's associated with fungus. Fear is the emotion that we need to resolve when we have a fungal infection. This woman was fearful of losing her mother all over again by becoming close to someone her mother did unapprove of. And the way she resolved that conflict was by reconnecting with her mother, allowing the light of love and acceptance to come into that situation and change the whole dynamic. The second category of conflicts that show up as fungal infections are conflicts related to money, abundance, and worth. So let's take a look at that. This guy comes in. He's got this thick toenail. It's yellow. It's discolored. He's had it for years. It's not painful, but he says, I'm tired of looking at it. Can't you just cut it out? I said, yeah, I can cut it out. But if I cut it out, it's going to grow back. It's gone, turn into a big mess if you do deal with the cause of the problem, which is emotional. He says, well, what's the cause? I said, that's what we're here to find out. So we start asking him questions, and what we find out is that his father left the family when he was a little boy and his mother was struggling to make ends meet. So he developed this idea that women were only after his money. He couldn't trust women. He didn't feel worthy of love. He felt unworthy of love. And he struggled with this throughout his entire adult life until he met this one woman who really loved him and accepted him for who he was. And he says, I finally felt worthy of love. I felt abundant. I felt like, hey, I'm rich. I'm abundant. I'm blessed. I don't need to worry about money anymore. And then he lost her to a drunk driver. He was devastated. He felt like his world was crashing down around him. He was so depressed. He was so full of grief and regret. He was blaming himself. Why didn't he become closer to her while she was alive? He beat himself up for a long time, and as he worked through that, and as he came to accept that she loved him for who he was, that she didn't love him for his money, that he didn't need to be rich or abundant to be loved, that he was worthy of love, guess what? The toenail cleared up. Sometimes the removal of the obstacle is what triggers the clearing up of the infection. Sometimes it's the resolution of the conflict that does it. In this case, both things happened. His nail started looking better after a period of time, as it should. It was a matter of working through his grief and accepting that his partner loved him for who he was and that he was worthy of that love. Okay, the next category is perfectionism. So let's take a look at that. Perfectionism is another common theme that shows up as a fungal infection. This person comes in, they have a fungal infection, and as we start talking about it, what do we find out? We find out that they're a chronic people pleaser. They're a chronic overachiever. They have low self-esteem. They're trying to prove themselves. and they're doing it in a very unhealthy way. They're doing it by sacrificing their own needs, their own wants, their own desires, their own peace, their own happiness, and trying to make other people happy. Trying to make other people happy, trying to please other people, is an attempt to compensate for low self-esteem. So as they work through that, as they become more assertive, as they learn to say no, as they start prioritizing their own needs and wants and desires and goals and dreams, guess what happens? The fungal infection clears up because fungus hates oxygen. When we allow oxygen into our lives, we can get rid of fungus. How do we allow oxygen into our lives? We allow oxygen into our lives by being true to ourselves, by being authentic, by expressing our opinions, by expressing our feelings, by saying no, by setting boundaries, by doing all those things that require courage. Courage is the opposite of fear, and what emotion is associated with fungus? Fear. The fourth category is fear of intimacy. Fear of intimacy will show up as a genitourinary infection, so you have a fungal infection down there. And as you're exploring that, and you're trying to find the cause, you might find out that you have a fear of intimacy. You might find out that you sabotage relationships. You might find out that you have certain core wounds related to relationships that come from childhood. Maybe your parents weren't emotionally available. Maybe you grew up with a lot of fighting in your home, and you've learned that relationships are a scary place. So you find yourself attracted to someone, but you develop a fear of commitment. You start pulling away. You start being emotionally unavailable. You maybe even cheat. You do whatever you need to do to sabotage the relationship, so you won't have to experience that abandonment, or that loss, or that fear of losing your independence. Whatever it is, it's coming from a place of fear. And the way we resolve that is by acknowledging it and working through it and finding ways to let go of that fear, finding ways to become more intimate, to become more connected, to become more open. And guess what? The infection clears up. All right? The fifth category is feeling stuck or being in transition. So you might find that during times of transition, or when you feel stuck in your life, you're more susceptible to developing a fungal infection because fungus loves moisture. Fungus loves dark, moist places. Well, what's a dark, moist place? Our feet are dark and moist when we sweat. When we're stressed, we sweat. When we're anxious, we sweat. What are the emotions that cause stress and anxiety? Uncertainty, doubt, fear of the future, fear of what's going to happen. So during times of transition, maybe you re-moving to a new place, or you restarting a new job, or you re-ending a job, or you re-getting divorced, or you re-getting married, any of those things that put you in a state of flux can trigger a fungal infection. The best thing to do is to move forward. Make decisions, get clarity. Move forward in a direction that makes sense for you. As you do that, you reduce the amount of stress. You reduce the amount of sweating. Your feet stay dry. Your feet stay in the light. Fungus goes away. Okay. Hi, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. I release new videos every week. Also, if you know someone who could benefit from this video, please share it with them. And if you have a question, please post it in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.